Hi, thank you for coming. My name is Tara Blessing, and I'm here today to teach you how to calculate your paycheck. It is extremely important that you are able to calculate every tax that is supposed to come out of your check, because do you go to work every day and not expect a certain amount that you need to come home to meet your budget? I think you have a budget that everyone needs to follow in order to pay their bills, or to decide to go out to eat, or decide to buy a new car. All of these things are very important. So just to tell you that, oh, you're going to make $15 an hour, it doesn't mean that you're going to bring that $15 home for that 1 hour of work that you worked. Now, when you're looking at paychecks, there are pre-tax dollars and there are many other factors, but today we're only going to focus on tax part of it in order to meet the needs of speech. So, to begin, there are very important things that you need to know about the gross part of your check for your job, and then there are important things that you need to know about your taxes. So the first thing to talk about the gross part of your check, what you need to know is, what is your hourly rate? I think that's pretty important to know how much you're going to make an hour in order to be paid for your work. Then the next thing that you need to know is, how many hours are you expected to work a week? Because if you're only working 20 hours a week, you're going to bring home a lot less money than if you're working 40 hours a week, or if you have overtime in there. And then the next thing that you need to know is, how are you paid? Are you paid weekly? Are you paid bi-weekly? Are you paid semi-monthly? Are you paid monthly? All of these things are you need to know in order to figure out your taxes. And the taxes have 4 sections as well. You have a federal withholding that is defined in your Circular E, which you can download on the IRS website. It's available for everyone. It's published every year. However, because of the debate between Congress and the administration, the 2013 Circular E is not available yet, because they just came to an agreement within the last few weeks of what the new rates will be for 13. So we were continuing to extend 12 into 13. Then you need to know your FICA taxes. Your FICA taxes are your Social Security tax, which now, if you've been paid in 2013, you will see it went back up to 6.2%, where in December it was still at the 4.2% rate. Also, your Medicare tax is part of FICA, which is 1.45%. You need to know what state you live in, or what state you work in, for what state they're going to take out, because each state has its own taxes set up. States like Texas, Florida, Tennessee, they have no state withholding tax, and since we obviously don't live there, that doesn't apply to us. And then you also have to know if your employer is required to withhold a local tax. For the demonstration purposes tonight, I chose Ohio for the state and Cincinnati for the local tax, so that way we can actually look at what taxes are withheld from a sample paycheck. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we cannot go through each individual person's paycheck. So I went ahead and just made a sample sheet of what we would do to calculate someone's taxes. So if you wouldn't mind passing it around, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, so now that we have gone through and we have gathered all the essential information that you will need for taxes and for your gross pay, we can go ahead and calculate your paycheck so that you can meet your budget. The person that I chose here is just a random name, Michelle Smith. First thing I said you need to find out is her hourly rate. Her hourly rate is $15 an hour. The next thing that I said you need to find out is how many hours per week is she expected to work. Well, for our sample, there's 40 hours a week. And the third thing that you need to find out is what is in the pay period. Here, there's 2 weeks in a pay period, so it means she's paid bi-weekly. So in order to get your gross, you would take your hourly rate times your hours per week times the amount of weeks in the pay period, and you would come up with $1,200 with a 15-hour hourly rate. $15 hourly rate. So now what we need to do is we need to calculate the taxes. So if you would go in your Circular E, it's 59 pages, but there is tables in the back, and you have to know what you filed on your W-4, your withholding. Are you single and zero? Because that makes the difference in this federal calculation. So for the sample that we used, I chose single and zero, paid biweekly, and the dollar amount came up to $152 according to the table. Then the FICA for Social Security at 6.2% came up to $74.40. The FICA for the Medicare is 1.45. The state for Ohio, I just used 3.5%, so it came up to $42. And then the local for Cincinnati is 2.1% that is deducted from your check, which therefore you take the percentage times the gross to come up with the dollar amount, which would be for Cincinnati $25.20. So then you would add up all of the taxes and subtract it from your gross pay in order to get the amount of money that you will bring home. So you can access this form through the IRS so that if you're choosing to buy a new car or buy a new house and you say, okay, well, I only work 30 hours right now, but if I work 40, if I choose to go to 40, what will my bring home be, and can I afford this new purchase of what I'd like to purchase? So thank you all for your time, and I hope you learned how to calculate a paycheck.